going to talk about the California Bar Exam essay frequency chart in this video. We've mentioned this chart before, we've taken a brief look at it, but I want to talk about it in more detail and take a look at some patterns that we can pull out from the chart. So just to explain the chart, along the left-hand side going down, you'll see the different subjects that could be tested on the written portion. This is the essay portion of the California Bar Exam. Across the top, each of those dates reflects an administration of the exam. So February 2010, July 2010, February 2011, July 2011. So then if you follow the subject across, you'll see the X's represent the administration in which that particular subject was tested. So agency and partnership, for instance, was tested in February 2010 and then July 2010. It was tested in February 2012, February 2013, and so on. A black X indicates that an essay on the bar exam for that administration tested just that one topic. So there's only 5 essays on the bar exam. Prior to 2017, there were 6. So if you're looking at a previous administration and wondering why there are so many X's, it's because California used to include 6 essays and now they include 5. But for instance, in February 2010, when there would have been 6 essays, you can see 3 of them tested a single subject. So there was 1 agency and partnership question, 1 community property question, and 1 trust question. And then the other 3 essays were crossover essays. So essay number 4 tested constitutional law and real property in a single essay. Essay number 5 would have tested contracts and remedies in a single essay. And essay number 6 would have tested corporations and professional responsibility in a single essay. Sometimes California doesn't do any crossover questions. So notice, for instance, February 2020. Every single essay tested a single subject. And sometimes California includes multiple crossover questions. We usually see at least 1, and I would say 2 is common. So be sure to expect to see a couple crossover questions pop up on the bar exam. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is the frequency with which certain subjects are tested. So you'll notice that there are more X's for some subjects than others. In particular, professional responsibility has the most X's. There was 1 administration where there's no X for professional responsibility. So professional responsibility is pretty much guaranteed to show up on the written portion of the exam. You know you're going to get a question on this subject. The nice thing about that is you know you're not wasting your time by learning that subject. Any amount of time you spend reviewing and learning professional responsibility, you're certainly going to be able to put that to good use. Compare that to something like agency and partnership, which may or may not show up. That's actually one of the least frequently tested subjects on the bar exam. So you can use this chart to look at what is most highly tested, such as professional responsibility, so that you can use your time efficiently to cover those subjects. Now, a couple other patterns that I want to talk about is how those crossover questions usually pop up. Now, this isn't set in stone, and certainly there are outliers that don't fall into this pattern, but certain subjects get crossed over with other certain subjects frequently. So for instance, community property is frequently tested as a crossover question. And when they cross over community property with another subject, it frequently comes up with either wills or trusts. That's the common way that we see those 3 subjects tested as crossovers. Sometimes it's even all 3. There have been questions that test community property and wills and trusts in a single essay. Another topic that is commonly crossed over is remedies. Remedies is most often crossed over with either contracts or torts. So you're thinking about like damages from one of those types of causes of action. We have seen it tested a little bit differently. In July 2019, for instance, it was crossed over with constitutional law, which was the first time we saw that subject tested with constitutional law, but frequently we see it tested with either torts or contracts. Some of the other subjects you'll notice come up rather sporadically. So for instance, Crim Law and Crim Pro, maybe not as highly tested as some of the others. Additionally, we already talked about agency and partnership, corporations, and recent administrations, not quite as many X's as we see for some of the others. You'll see that wills appears to have been tested slightly more often than trusts in previous administrations more recently. So some of these patterns you can watch for and help guide you to think about how much time to spend on each subject. You want to spend your time on the subjects that are more highly tested so that you're going to have a higher probability of being able to utilize what you've learned on that particular subject. Now, California's essays do test California law, but not every subject tests California law. That's not represented in this chart, but just to give you a heads up, subjects such as community property, trusts, and wills, and also professional responsibility commonly test California law. Subjects including evidence and civil procedure have tested California law, but they could also test general law or federal law. And then the other subjects typically test general law. So in constitutional law, contracts, criminal law, for instance, things like that, you're not expected to know any California distinctions.